Welcome to the Be Unstoppable in the Zone podcast. My name's Lisa Clifford and I'm your host. Be Unstoppable for me is all about helping you unlock your incredible human potential and for you to access your mind in a way that it works for you. And that's why I became an empowerment and firewalking instructor, running events where people participate in a way that reveals to them who they truly are without a shadow of a doubt, and therefore enabling people, you, to live the life that you want without any limitation. Each episode in this series has guests that I'm interviewing that have valuable gems and nuggets and perspectives that have served them in their life, and also lessons that they've learned. And I just thought it'd be great to get under the bonnet, so to speak, in the zone and listen to their journey and stories. And I hope in some way that you connect to some part, if not all. So I hope you enjoy this next episode. Right, so here we are. My old, oh no, hang on, that's not a compliment, is it? My old dear friend, Paul Bailey Cooper.
I think you were right.
My old friend, yeah. Paul Bailey Cooper. Cooper.
You mean my friend, old Paul.
Old Paul.
Yeah.
You see, and this is what it's like. We go back. And we were just reminiscing in the kitchen earlier. So, Paul, you're I'd like to say, world famous photographer.
I'm a photographer.
Is a photographer.
Yeah.
My favourite photographer.
Thank you.
And we met networking, your business network in York in 2006. And in fact, I met your wife first.
I'll take your word for that, because I know it's a long time ago, but I can't remember the actual year.
Yeah, it's when I moved back to York.
Right.
And so I met your wife first, Kate.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't even need any photography, I believed. And she said, oh, you've got to... And I said, I'll have my pictures done with you. And then she said, well, actually, it's not me that does it. At the time, it's Paul, my husband. And then this really cool, smiling, easygoing chap turned up.
I thought you meant my brother. Right.
And I immediately felt like, oh no, he's too cool for me. And you were like, you'll be fine. And I came along, and you and Kate did everything to make me feel relaxed, at ease, in my but still being myself. So still being myself, where I was a bit quirky. And I remember
you've not changed.
You just bring it out in me more than ever. And then when I saw the pictures after, I felt $1 million during the shoot. Because you had this way about you that was just energetic and easy to be shot by. And then when I saw the pictures, I couldn't take my flipping eyes off myself. I had no idea the impact of having your pictures taken by somebody who knows what they're flipping doing. Because it was about capturing my brand, about how I wanted to be seen in the world. And I know you haven't had a chance to speak yet.
That's okay.
But
I don't need to. I do photos, you do words.
And I remember looking at these pictures thinking, oh, I could see myself on a magazine cover, or I thought, is that me? And it did so much for my self-belief, my self-esteem, my self-worth, that those images were the images that were going to go out and represent my business. And I felt so proud of
kind of you to say.
Oh, it made, we sometimes think that pictures are just something to use on your website, but what it does to how you fully push your business out there is something else. You must have compliments like this all the time, Paul.
Nah, most people just hate me, to be honest. But, I think the problem is that most people, 99% of the population, think they are unphotogenic. And my answer to that is everybody's photogenic if they are treated as human beings, and you talk to them and you discover what turns them on and what their personality is. And then you bring out those best features of them, and you use the correct lighting. That makes a massive difference. We do food photography as well, right? I can make a Michelin-starred dish look like school dinners with the wrong lighting. But conversely, you can make school dinners, well, okay, look pretty good. All right.
Edible.
Yeah, edible. Yeah. And I think using the right lighting is so important, but I think just getting to know people and talking to them is 90% of the job, really.
Well, I think what I recognise that there's an enormous amount of skill in getting somebody to light up in their authentic way that is beyond knowing how to use a camera. There's a lot to be said for knowing how to use the camera and the lighting and the positioning, but then there's that thing of catching somebody's personality and who they are.
That's the bit that's hard to teach, because we do photographic training, and you can teach people how to use a camera. That's a technical thing, you know. It's not particularly creative using the camera. It's buttons and you know, getting the right settings. Lighting, yes, that becomes slightly more creative.
Yeah.
But you can have the best skills in the world at lighting and using a camera, and still produce pictures that are soulless.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's sad when that happens, really. But that's the difficult bit, trying to teach people how to get the best out of the subject.
Yeah. Do you remember? Was it Leslie Brewer that did the dating?
Yes.
She was called Leslie.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
And she always said, have somebody who loves you take your profile picture.
Yeah.
And I think you have that knack of like getting the spirit of somebody.
I love taking photos, so therefore I love all my subjects, you see, as well. Yeah.
How did you get into it?
Hobby to start with.
What were you doing? What were you profession at the time?
Well, I got into photography at the age of 18, which is like 107 years ago now. Sorry. And I was actually given my parents bought me a camera for my 18th birthday.
Kodak.
No, it wasn't actually. No. It was I'd had Instamatics and things, but no, they bought me what I call a proper camera. It was a Ricoh 500 RF. I remember it, right?
Like
Still got it actually, like you'd know, yeah. And that just, I got the bug then.
What was it about it? Because I think we always do something for a feeling. What feeling did you get from taking pictures?
This is in the days of film, obviously, not digital.
Of course.
Yeah. So you'd shoot a picture, and you'd shoot 36 pictures on a roll, and then you'd send the film off. You'd wait a week, you'd get it back, and go,
oh no, they're all the ceiling.
They're all rubbish, right? I've chucked heads off and done everything wrong. But I got the bug, and I just wanted to take better photos. I suppose the real attraction was, going in the dark room, because I knew Kate at the time. Go in the dark room, see what develops.
Yeah. And then you had 2-3 kids. The dark room produced a whole family.
Yeah, but I ended up working in IT for 10 years, and the photography was a hobby that turned into a part-time job, because once people know that you...
I didn't know you worked in IT.
Oh, yeah, for 10 years, yeah.
Doing what?
I started in IT.
Look at me suspicious. Prove it to me.
82, I think it was. The year the IBM PC came out.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Great big thing.
Yeah, and I became, I was a computer engineer. So I used to fix these things when they went wrong. And throughout the 10 years in IT, I moved into marketing, product marketing. So it was like technical marketing stuff, and did that for 10 years. The photography was the hobby that turned into the part-time job, doing weddings and stuff like that on the weekend. So I was what we call the weekend warrior in the photography world, doing weddings and taking business away from full-time professional photographers. Now I moan about it. I don't really. A lot of professional photographers moan about the weekend warriors. If you look at the statistic, most photographers actually come into photography by becoming a weekend warrior first.
Yeah.
And if you've got a passion for it, you'll want to develop it and turn it into a career.
But I think wedding photography is, in my imagination, exhausting.
It is, that's why I stopped doing it.
Yeah, but I'm imagining that it would need somebody who had the energy for it for a week and then to have the rest of the week to recover.
Yeah.
So it's almost like lends itself to how energy and then rest.
So if you go back to what I said earlier about learning the technical skills, wedding photography is definitely 90% crowd control.
Yes.
And 10% photography.
Yeah, and keeping your humour and, you know, getting the shot when the shot's there as well as...
Yeah, because Kate used to come out with me as an assistant, and she would just cringe because I just used the same jokes at every wedding. And she'd be, I've heard this before so many times. Just
what if somebody's been at a different wedding?
Yeah, I know. Go, oh, it's him again. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. But yeah, wedding photography is something that requires a cattle prod.
Yeah.
More than a camera.
Yeah. And only one assistant. I can't believe that.
Yeah, one assistant.
But then I guess you got off the bride, these are the pictures we want. So she's working with you because she wants it. But did you
usually
did you find that actually you got loads of business from people who were at those weddings that wanted you for their weddings or things?
Yeah, or word of mouth. I mean, I suppose over the last, I was going to say 20 years, it's nearly 30 years I've been doing photography. Most of the business is word of mouth.
Yeah.
And that's always the best kind anyway, as you know yourself in your business.
Yeah. So just going back to networking, because we met networking and we in 2006, and our relationship has just continued to...
I wondered what you were going to say then. Developed, evolved.
I ruled several
failed.
But just whenever I see you networking, I gravitate towards you. We all
likewise. It's just like, we're here again.
Two naughty sisters and brothers.
Why are we here?
Yeah. Over the years that we've just.
I think it's because we are similar in terms of we like people to be themselves. Height, humour. Yeah, sixth sense of humour.
Yeah, we like people to be genuine. We like them without the mask on, don't we? We like people that I love flawed people that laugh about their flaws. And we've got, to be fair, plenty to laugh about.
You're right above,
But there is something about a business community. What do you think makes a business community enriched that we should really cling to?
I think it is those personal relationships that you form through networking, and not necessarily doing business with each other even, but just meeting different people and realizing, actually you've got the same sense of humor as I have.
Yeah.
And looking forward to then seeing those people at events. And it's like, that when you connect with that kind of person is always going to be looking for business for you.
Yeah.
In a way,
and
that's how it works, rather than the forced network. Here's my card, please give it to somebody.
Yeah, let's meet up and have a serious chat.
Yeah,
I think you've made a really good point. It's about building.
It's unusual.
We'll have to highlight it. Might be the only one.
Might be the only one.
It's a bit like when we do those 3-minute spotlights. Mark Harris. If you're listening, Mark, hello. Says, let's give her a round of applause at the beginning because she might not get one at the end. So back to your good point, that might be the only one, is it's not about selling. Networking is not about selling. And I think that's one of the mistakes people make is, I know when I met Kate, I liked her so much, I wanted to buy whatever she had, even though I didn't think I had a need.
What are you selling?
I love it, yeah. And I think, and she had that kind of approach of, well, let's just see how it might look for you. And it was just so easy. But I think, what do you think the mistake people make when they're networking?
They oversell. And you can spot the sales tactics a mile off, can't you? And you just think, it just winds me up, to be honest. It switches me off.
What's the worst or the funniest worst sales tactic?
You don't necessarily get it in networking. I'm thinking more online, where you get this implied scarcity.
Yes.
I hate that. Sign up now because the price is going up tomorrow. No, it's not.
No.
Pack it in.
Yeah. We know there's going to be another discount.
We know there'll be another discount.
Yes.
Stop doing it.
Or heightened pain.
Yes. Yeah. Heightened pain.
Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah. But just all the sales tactics, they just switch me off, to be honest. But networking is one of those things. I was at First Thursday last week with Stacey, our good friend Stacey.
Stacey,
yes. And And someone who I'd not met before, I was chatting to them, and she said, do you get a lot of business out of this? You know, how much would you expect to get each month? I said, well, none. I'm here to talk to people, and something might come of it eventually, but it's all people who know people who know people. And she seemed quite surprised, because she thought she would come along and talk to half a dozen people and get 3 new contracts.
It's
you're going to have such disappointment in your life if you go to a networking event like that, aren't you?
Absolutely. And that idea that you want to take something rather than give.
Yeah.
Because, you know, anybody that comes into a conversation with somebody else needs to know it's who's behind that person. Yes. It's the 6 degrees of separation, isn't it? Yeah. Or I tell you who gives a really good point across about networking is Nick Bramley, and he says,
I love Nick.
Nick, we love you.
Yeah.
Is the most you can expect from networking is a cup of coffee.
Yes.
And I'm always fearful, though, of those people that are running around the room, getting the new contacts, saying, let's meet for coffee.
Let's meet for coffee,
Let's have a one-to-one. I don't know why we just don't call it a coffee and a chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it feels a bit like we'll have this structured conversation that gets under the skin of the pain of your business, and then it just all feels a little bit too. Let's just make friends.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's
those kind of people are the ones who've gone along with, and they have this aim that I must get 6 coffee meetings out of this.
Yes,
and again, it's like, no, pack it in.
No, I want you to meet with me, because we've got a connection, or and actually from my business network days, all of my suppliers came from that business network, because I wanted to eyeball them each month and know that we were.
That is a really good point. Yeah, we have picked up a lot of suppliers from networking over the years. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you do get customers from networking, you then go to the network event, and it's just a way of keeping in touch with them. Yeah. Not necessarily getting new business, but just saying, yeah, hi, I'm still here.
There is, and also on another level, although it's never the driver, is people will buy from people at the forefront of their mind, even if excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Even if they meet another.
You're allergic to me.
Coach. What's this plan? Plastic.
Very good.
Very they are, aren't they?
We bought some.
Take a bite out of it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so even I know I'm of a certain age, I'm likely to forget that you're even sat here.
I have no idea why.
Even if somebody meets another coach or photographer, they are more likely to stay with us, because they might already have bought, but we're still in their mind and in their life even, and there's a lot to be said for that. Socializing, even if you have scooped up the business or got all your. I mean, so many. There's you. There's Stacey I met through networking. There's Craig Head is still my web developer all these years on. Mel did my branding. You know, we when you get a good relationship, you keep it going.
You do, yeah. That's a really good point. The first ever business network I went to, Nick Bramley was running it.
Was he?
And I had no idea what to expect, and he sat me on this table, introduced me, because Nick was really good.
He didn't give you a chair. He thought, I'll sit him on the table.
In the middle. He said, you look like a gnome, sit there.
Sit there.
Yeah. And
entertain.
And I was with Terry Doyle from Clive Owen Accountants. Okay. And you used to do your round table bit.
Yeah.
And I remember Terry saying something about, I'm boring, I'm an accountant. And then it came to me, and I said, well, I'm a photographer. I can make people look interesting, even accountants.
Even you.
Right?
Yeah.
And I got a PR shoot out of that from Terry.
Yeah.
Terry became my accountant, and Clive Owen, we're still with them now. Wow. After all that time. And that must be, well, when did we meet? 2006. Yeah, so it was before then. Yeah. So networking does work.
Yeah. If you go with the perspective of you're building relationships rather than selling, that's the key thing. And that thing that Nick says, the most you can expect is a coffee.
Yeah.
That just takes the pressure right off and allows you just to
just go enjoy it.
Yeah. And so over the years then, has, just going a little bit back to photography, has what you're photographing changed with either the economic climate or your preferences even?
Well, yeah, actually. The styles have changed, obviously, in photography. Yeah, portraiture styles have changed a lot. Food photography's changed. It's quite interesting if you look back at photos from the 80s, commercial advertising shots. They look so dated now compared to what we're producing.
Just going then back to people shots, what have they changed from and to?
It's mainly fashions that change, and in terms of portraiture, then a particular lighting style will become very fashionable, and because it will be in a magazine, Vogue will use a particular lighting style, and so everybody copies that. Or the professional photographer think, well, that must be on trend. We want to be on trend. We'll do that. No, do your own thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like clothing. It goes in phases, and fashions change.
What about environments? Like, do people suddenly want to be photographed in a train tunnel rather than a sofa?
What we found is there was a move away from studio photography into location portraits, but this is actually driven by the fact that a lot of photographers don't have studios, so they promote location photography because that's what they can provide, you see.
Are they very tricky to set up in?
Well, the problem with location photography is if you're doing something outdoors, it's
the weather. Generator.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or batteries.
Yeah. And seriously, the weather is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
So it's, personally, I prefer to have full control in the studio. Maybe I'm a control freak. I don't know. But
works for me.
It works. There you go. Yeah. Because you know what you can do, you know what you can produce. I mean, we do location stuff, but given the preference, I would always go for studio photography, where I have got full control of lighting and everything. In terms of what we photograph, has it changed due to economic circumstance? Yes, it has, because go back to when we started, we would be employed by companies to go do a PR shoot because they were launching a new service or a new building, or they've got a new desk or something. Anything could be turned into a PR story. It still can. The difference is they will do the shots themselves on their iPhones. So we don't get that kind of work anymore because the media is now conditioned to accept photos off phones, and there's nothing wrong with that. An iPhone is a perfectly capable camera. I use one and sell photos off it. It's not a problem. But the media have also got rid of all their photographers in many cases. You look at the press in Europe.
Oh yes.
Got no photographers left. I would turn up at a photo shoot for the launch of a new company or whatever it was, and there would be me employed by the business in case the press boys didn't turn up, because they would have put out a press call.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time I'd be there, the press people would turn up, and I knew most of the photographers in York, and so basically I was redundant. I was the insurance policy in case the press people didn't turn up to cover it for them. Whereas now the press don't turn up because they ain't got any photographers. We don't get the calls to go do it, and people just do their own, and then they put them on Facebook or Twitter, and then the media steal them and publish them.
Yeah.
And turn a tweet. It's not Twitter now, is it? It's X.
Is it?
I still call it Twitter.
I'm just about on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And they turn a single social media post into a news story. So that's changed a lot.
I remember, and it was with my PR company at the time. I remember actually being on the phone to the business editor of the York Press, saying, "Have you got my
the release
my release?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, it'll probably go inside the pages." And then he got the picture and went, "Whoa, it's going on the front page."
Brilliant.
And there's that thing I think that you've said, and Maxine Gordon from the York Press says the picture sells the story.
Yeah.
And it was one of it was for my firewalking years and years ago, and my PR company had sent a photographer out, but we got fire breathers. It was at Hazelwood Castle.
I remember the picture. Yes, that was a great one. Yeah.
I'm in a red dress.
Yes, the red dress. Yes.
Oh, yes,
that's
the red
dress I was talking about earlier.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
So earlier we were just chatting whilst I was making a coffee about the different shoots Paul and I have done of me. Of course, it's all about me. And there was the red dress shoot, and I could not remember it.
That's the one.
But there was that
red
one.
Dress. Yeah.
The famous brand picture that I had for years. I don't know, see, that's my age.
You had it on a banner, didn't you, as well?
Had it on a banner, yeah. Business cards.
Didn't we make the dress? We changed it to pink for some.
Yes, because my branding.
Did we do that, or did Kevin
Mel
did it?
Mel did it. She had she did a lot of work on changing even the pleats.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Oh, yes. And that's, that's the thing, isn't it? With a great photograph, it's easy to think that you can do it yourself. I mean, I did my own pictures and, with a nice backdrop a few months ago, and they're acceptable. But are we going for acceptable? Really?
It depends what you want it for, doesn't it, really? But
I mean, I was playing and it has gone onto the front of a magazine.
There you go.
However, could have been even better. It could have been even better.
I'm saying nothing.
And no,
it was a good shot.
You are absolutely inspiring me, because as we're talking, I'm realising the longevity, the depth, the value of good photography, because it's not just about, does my picture look nice on my website? It's about all the different areas you use it with, your bio, your presentations, your banner stands,
I mean,
business cards.
You want to look good, but we have to remember that in the commercial world, the picture has to do a job.
Yeah.
And certainly when it's for a press release or anything, the idea is readers are turning the pages. Do they do that anymore? Do they just swipe on an iPad? Anyway, whatever, they're turning the pages.
Yeah.
And you need the picture to stop them in their tracks, really, and go, whoa, what's this all about? Why is this woman in a red dress got fire in the background?
Out the back of her head.
Yeah.
What is it then about a picture that will stop people in the tracks and hold their attention?
Drama.
Yeah.
There are various tricks you can use with clever lighting to create drama, or unusual angles or dramatic angles.
Colour.
If you've got really vibrant colour against a darker backdrop, then that anything red in particular. You see, I mean, that's why that red dress shot works so well, because red, your eye goes straight to it.
I'm going to have to put a picture of that for this when it goes onto YouTube.
Yeah. But red is such a strong colour that your eye just is drawn to it instantly.
I remember me just leaning against the wall with an angle to it that just flattered.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because we always knew the brief was make my bum look small. You said, let's have another look at that corgi. But that's a separate joke. That's a separate joke. So these days you've got an additional offering, haven't you?
Yes.
Tell us about that, because I think it's a brilliant idea.
Photographic training, because as well as running the business for however long, I keep saying 30
years.
It's not quite. It's 1995, so we're now 20. We're now 29th year actually. Yeah. Anyway, as well as doing that, I've also been involved with the Master Photographers Association and been their director of qualifications for too long, about 10 years, I think. And so I've mentored a lot of professional photographers, done a lot of training, and we realised, sort of probably during lockdown actually, but it's taken us this long to sort it out, that there are a lot of people out there who buy a camera thinking, I will take better pictures if I buy a new camera, and they don't actually know how to use it.
Yeah, I get that.
And there are some tips and techniques that we can teach them quite quickly and get them up and running very, very fast. So we've got an online course now called Camera Kickstart.
Will you give me the link?
I will give you the link, yeah. And they can, get a new camera, know nothing about how to use it, and this in 90 minutes of video will show them which are the settings that are important.
Regardless of camera,
it's not camera specific, right? Because the basics of photography have not changed since it was invented. So, if you go back to the very first camera, it's the same principle. It has a lens with an aperture, and the light comes through and hits the film at the back. Now it's not film, it's digital, but the principle is identical. And what camera manufacturers do is they just keep adding all these bells and whistles on that you don't necessarily need. So this basic course is designed to get you up and running really quickly, and we're developing this, and obviously there'll be lots more courses right up to professional level. So yeah, that's the way we're going, and it's taken us since lockdown to actually get this off the ground.
Why?
Because we've been too busy taking photos.
Oh, you've been busy working.
What we like doing is taking photos. People say to me, if you have a day off, what do you do? I go take photos. Do you? It's sad, isn't it?
What's your guilty pleasure? Right, that is airworthy.
Oh.
I saw the whites of your eyes. I thought, not that one.
Not that one. No.
Oh, that one.
Do you know, I was a bit concerned because I obviously listen to podcasts, and if you look on the Apple podcast thing, there's the ratings and stuff at the bottom, and for yours it says clean.
And you thought,
and I thought,
oh dear, that's going to go down the toilet, so to speak.
Yeah.
In one podcast.
Must not swear.
I didn't even know. What does that mean, clean?
Well, I assume it means no swearing.
Oh, I think we've...
And I thought, Lisa's done a clean podcast.
I can't be talking in it. I must cut myself out.
Anyway, I forgot what you asked me now. Oh, guilty pleasure.
What would you like to shoot guilty pleasure-wise?
Oh, in terms of what I like to shoot, honestly, I couldn't pick one thing because...
Is it still moving usually, what you're shooting?
Again, it varies such a lot. You know, if I did a week in the studio photographing food, day one I would be over the moon. I'd love doing it. Yeah. Day two, I'd still be enjoying it. Day three, I'd think, yeah, this is a job.
I need to eat it.
Thursday and Friday, I'd be thinking, I need to shoot something different now.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I do like the variety. That's why we've deliberately over the years we've not really specialised and just gone, we're just doing portraits or we're just doing still life or advertising or whatever. So I do like that variety. So I don't really have a guilty pleasure in terms of photography. I suppose my guilty pleasure is trying new things.
Yeah.
That's the guilty pleasure, actually, trying new things. You know.
Like, what's your latest new thing?
Well, Kate's doing a floristry course at the moment, right? So she comes back from night school every Tuesday night, and she's got these wonderful arrangements that she's done, and she wants to photograph them. Okay, just as a record. So she'll come back, and at 9 o'clock, she'll set this thing up, and then it was about 11 o'clock at night. We're still playing around because, if we did this and did some waterfall light painting with a torch and stuff like that, and we just got so engrossed in doing this because we enjoy doing it. So I suppose that's the guilty pleasure, trying new things.
I totally get that. There's two things I want to say about that. Was Kate won an award, didn't she, for Black and Black?
Her fellowship panel was, it was black, 20 images of black food on black backgrounds. The lighting was superb on it.
Are you able to send me some of the images? Am I allowed to put them on this video? I'll do. This will be a YouTube video as well as a podcast. Yeah. So I'd love to put some of those.
There are really simple images. This is when she did her fellowship panel. So I can't remember what year it was. But interestingly, we've been the Master Photographers Association is merging with the Royal Photographic Society. So we've been doing some work with the RPS and making sure the qualifications are the same level, etc., etc. And we were looking at Kate's panel literally last week, and I said to her, "It's quite an old panel now, but it still stands up."
I remember.
It is so simple.
Is there a nice lolly?
Yes, a blackcurrant ice lolly.
Yeah.
With a drip coming off it.
Yeah.
And she just caught it perfectly. The lighting is just spot on with it. And yeah, it's just some great simple images. But that's another thing. I think people try to overcomplicate images as well. It's like, what are you trying to show? Right, just show that,
Yeah.
We're trying to show Lisa's good points, just show them.
Yeah. No, we'll be able to find one, honestly, we will.
No, we do.
I tell you, when I was becoming a master firewalking instructor, interestingly, National Geographic's was part of our training. It's about self-mastery. Yeah. And it was about about creating your own guiding principle. And that National Geographic's guiding principle was always from good to great. Right. And that when the photographers would go out, it would be this this picture's this. I think this is the best picture we can get, and then they were always like,
how do we make it better?
Yeah,
that is National Geographic have fantastic images. Yeah, they're inspiring.
Like, do I take it from lying down, or do I wait for the sun to set?
Yeah,
or rise? What is it I need to do today? Because if I think this is the best shot I can get, if I were to consider this to be good, what would great look like?
So that's their minds. That's how they work, is it? Right?
I've not heard that before. Principle through.
I can see that in the work they produce, the photographers. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Which makes me want to ask you. I always think we've always got our favourite of something. What have you got a favourite shot of yours?
I always hate every shot I've taken about a week after I've taken it, because I think I could have made that better.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a favourite shot, it would be the one that made the biggest difference to my career, and that's in 1999 when I won Photographer of the Year, and it's a still life of a cello, actually. I'll send you it.
Send it. Let's put it up. Tell me what is it about that remains today to be your favourite?
Because it just made the biggest difference, I think, to my photography career, because I won Master Photographer of the Year with it, and did the press release, etc., and things took off, I think, after that point.
Went from what to what?
Went from me being a photographer that just got on with things to a photographer that the associations were asking, would you come and teach us, and would you come and talk to our members and do seminars, and it increased my profile, which at the time I didn't like at all.
Why?
Because I'm a photographer, I like to be behind the camera and not in the limelight. Worst subjects in the world to photograph other photographers, because we want to be behind the camera, not in front of it.
Really?
Oh yeah. That's what made the biggest difference to me, definitely.
What about? I want to ask you about self-belief, because
that's deep.
It's a journey, self-belief, isn't it? And it's not a constant, and it's not a got it, I'm always going to have it. But have you ever, not that anybody would ever know, other than probably Kate, maybe, because you two have been together since school, haven't you?
Oh yeah. 1982.
That's a lot of fingers and toes to count over. I'll forget Lexi in.
Not getting enough.
So, have you ever had moments where you've either felt like an imposter, or that you've had to massively?
Yeah.
Tell me. What do you say to yourself? Really, where you're thinking, I've got to be better than the last one,
because you're only as good as your last shoot. Yeah. You've got every shoot. You want to produce the very best that you can,
because it's a once in a life. It's a once in a time, isn't it?
And especially, we do a lot of stock library work. We've got a lot of pictures, but I put as much effort into them, even though nobody has commissioned me to take them.
Yeah.
As if I was going out photographing somebody's wedding, where it's a once in a lifetime thing, and get it right. So I have the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome and all that. Yeah. But I think I'm also quite pragmatic, and I just think, well, I can do this. I've proved I can do it. So let's just crack on and do it, shall we?
Yeah.
This
might be coming towards the end, but what's the funniest mistake you've ever made?
What, recently or ever?
Something that isn't going to destroy your business.
Oh dear. Okay. I think it was probably when I got the first digital camera. So it's back in 2000, I think. So we've got this all singing, all dancing, brand new digital camera, and we went out on a shoot. Luckily, not a commissioned shoot, and it was one of these bird of prey centres we were at. And we thought, we'll go there, we'll test it, etc. see what we can do. I didn't bring a memory card.
Oh, I was going to say, the bird took your camera.
No,
So what? You just had like all these pictures and
so I
nothing.
I had a bag full of equipment, thousands of pounds worth of new equipment. Couldn't use it.
That's like to run a
I had to run a film with
wood.
Yeah, it is exactly like that. Yeah, exactly like that.
What?
Yeah, I'll tell you another one actually.
Yeah.
Because this happened in the studio. This was in the days of film. Someone came in for a portrait session and I started taking pictures. And this was when we were shooting on Hasselblad cameras and there's 12 shots on a roll. So, and I got to shot number 12, wound it on, it went to 13. I thought, that's not right. I didn't put film in.
Oh, no. And he or she had already given the best of their...
She had more to give.
Did she?
Yeah.
So she gave it.
She gave more, yeah.
I mean, those things that...
So I said, well, that was, right, we're warmed up now.
Yeah.
We'll put some film in.
I think I can...
And we'll do it for real.
That must have been... So did you have a dark room in those days where you did your own?
Yes.
That's a long time to... I mean, now it's instant, like, no, we just need to adjust the lighting or something. I don't know how you did it.
I mean, I shoot a picture now in the studio and then, I'm waiting 5-10 seconds for it to appear on the screen. And that 5 to 10 seconds is so frustrating. And I have to tell myself, hang on a minute, you used to wait days.
Yeah.
Before you even knew if you'd got the shot. So, yeah, we just get impatient, don't we?
I know.
Technology makes us more impatient because it does everything faster. So we just want more and more.
I think it's given us all that sense of impatience about everything. Like, we need to know the answer to things immediately. We need people to get to the point immediately, or we're moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest competition for photographers these days?
Depends on whether we're looking at the commercial photography or what I call social photography, which is your family portraits and that kind of thing. In the social photography world, your biggest competition is actually anything else that people spend money on, such as food. Because having a portrait done it's discretionary spend, really, isn't it? Nobody has to have a family portrait done. Nobody has to have their child photographed. No. However, there is, going back to this idea of scarcity, you do have to have your child photographed at age 2 if you want a professional photograph of them at age 2, because next year they're 3.
Exactly. The moment is going.
Yeah, but the biggest competition is whatever people can spend their money on. Yeah, immediate need. That's it. Yeah.
And in commercial world?
Commercial world, the biggest competition is probably going back to what I was saying about companies doing their own photography. So it's the rise of the iPhone generation, I suppose. Having said that, that can work in our favour in that we will sometimes get calls saying, we've tried to do it ourselves.
Now we've run out of time and we really need something.
They don't look good. Could you come and help us, please? And again, that's something where we can either do the shots or we can actually go in and train companies how to take the shots themselves.
That's what I was going to ask. And what would that look like for a business?
We could go in and literally spend half a day showing them how to use their iPhones properly. We did a similar thing for Macmillan Cancer Relief, where we went in and trained the charity, the volunteers, how to take good PR shots so they could get their stories published more often. So we can do things like that as well.
So that somebody can say, so a company can say to you, can you come in and work with our PR team or social media team? You can go in and train them for half a day and then they're forever able to do it themselves. And do you train them about the kind of things that get attention in the press, or
we would teach them how to take a striking photo rather than actually what will get
rather than the what.
We don't do the words really.
No.
You probably use ChatGPT for that and put the journalists out of business, weren't they?
Is that what sort of price can people pay for that?
For training?
Yeah.
Oh, sky's the limit.
So you would tailor-make your price to their brief?
It's tailor-made, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
brilliant.
Yes, because obviously the charity's got no money.
Yeah.
And so we can help them out with things like that.
You've got a scholarship for them.
That's a good word. Scholarship. You used that word on a post the other day. I saw that and I thought,
I did. Because a company that I've worked with has gone into administration,
right.
and the people are amazing at the company. And I do a matched funding. You know, if anybody donates to the scholarship, I match it.
Right.
But instead, what I've done on this occasion is I've donated into it myself,
right,
so that I can give some tickets away, or well, I think the kind of work I do at the moment is needed more than ever. It's just whether people get their backsides to it to get the medicine. And but I think a scholarship works better than I don't know. Handout, yeah, I do.
No, I think you're right. I like that. That's good.
Even a pay it forward. So, have you got? Shall we wrap up with either 3 pieces of wisdom, or 3 tips, or 3 mistakes not to make? Or on the spot. Don't worry, if you've got a long pause, I'll cut it out.
Okay.
But I thought those were feet, not paws. Boom, boom. I'm here all week.
Yeah, right. Okay, let Lexi in then. 3 mistakes not to make.
Mistakes, yeah.
What? Photography mistakes?
Yeah.
Right, okay, yes. Right, mistake number 1 is don't position. Let's say you're photographing a person.
Yeah.
Okay, you're indoors, and don't stand them directly with a window behind them, because they'll turn into a silhouette most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a good point for presenting, either in a training room or on a stage.
Yes.
If they put the stage, which I had, and I did say, please close the blinds behind you.
Yeah, because you're just a silhouette otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
So that's number 1. Number 2, if you're outdoors taking a photograph, keep the horizon level.
Keep the horizon
because,
level.
You know, photos tilted like this.
Got you.
The horizon should be level.
Horizontal.
Horizontal, yes.
Yep.
Okay. Particularly, I see a lot of pictures that people take, you know, the seaside, and the sea's going downhill. So
what does that do to the viewer?
It makes them go like that.
Makes them seasick.
It gives them a stiff neck. Yeah.
Yeah, because we try to correct what we're seeing, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. If you are going to tilt your camera, then you need to do it with real intention and do a real 45-degree tilt, so it looks as if you've done it intentionally. So it's obvious that it's meant to be like that.
Yes, it's part of the setup.
Rather, if it's just 1 or 2 degrees out, people go like that, and it's just really odd. You know, I mean, if it's 40, it'll go like that anyway. Yeah. And so for those that are listening, Paul's tilting his head to his shoulder. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, it's just audio. Yes. Well, I know YouTube and audio, but I like to. Right. We should put a diagram with it as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll put a picture with it for audio. Yeah. Yeah. And tip number 3. Yeah. I would say, take lots and lots of photos. We used to have this problem with film that every time you pressed the shutter button, it cost you a lot of money. Yes. Because you had to send your film off. And now it's not free, but it's very cheap. Yeah. The cost is what, cloud? Yeah, but edit your photos, right? Actually, can I do a 4th tip? Because this one's actually more important, right? Yeah. Tip number 4, and this is probably the most important thing. Yeah. Back up your photos. Okay. Right. If the back's up to iCloud, fine. Yeah. Back up your photos. We have had, calls over the years from people going, I've lost all my photos. Is there anything you can do? You need to have a backup. What tends to happen is people don't back up their photos until they've lost some. Of course, because we only change when we've made a mistake. Yeah. But I want tip number 5, because tip number 4 was starting as 1 tip and turned into a different tip. Tip number 5 was edit. Edit your photos. Edit, yeah. Yes. Do what to it though? Because we can over edit. Overfilter, over-edit. So when it comes to editing the photographs, what not to do and what to do? Right, okay. Again, it depends on what you're editing. If it's a person, you need it to look real. You need it to look like a person. Don't make the skin look so smooth that it looks like a mannequin. A person, yes, we all like a bit of soft focus, but just don't go OTT. Yeah. And if you are editing your photos, edit a copy of the photo. Yes. Right? Yes. Not the original. No. Because you might come back to that edit a week later and go, oh, what have I done to it? And if you haven't got the original, tough.
Yeah.
Stuck with it. So yeah, edit a copy.
But what not to do though? Overexpose, oversaturate.
Yeah.
Over anything.
What when you're editing? Yeah, over anything. Over anything. Yeah. Unless you are doing it for a specific reason or specific effect you want to create. But in general, people want things to look real. Yes, enhance things, but over editing, nah, doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Fantastic. Flipping, have we missed anything? I mean, we need a episode 2, I'm sure. But if we missed anything that you think might be helpful?
I can't think of anything.
Then we've covered networking, the value of relationships, keeping things fresh, competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks. Yeah. Being an imposter. Yeah.
Oh yeah, covered.
Yeah. Having a pause.
Instead of fee.
Yeah.
Being sat on the table, winning business.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Building relationships. Yeah.
I bloody love it. And now, having gone through that conversation about the value of photography and how long it lasts and how deep it can go and what it does for the way that you push your business out, it's made me feel like I need another shoot. It'll have to be January once I've been on my diet, of course, and grown my hair a bit longer. All the things that are essential to people believing in you in business.
No, you just be yourself, Lisa.
Bloody love you.
You too.